apologize for the just truly awful angle. I don't know which one would be better. We'll stick here. Does anybody else find driving just very therapeutic? I used to hate driving when I was new to it, but now that I've been driving for a few years, my car is my alone time happy place. It feels like time just doesn't exist when I'm in a car. Yesterday I picked up a friend from a minor surgery and then took her daughter to school, and then after that I went to 2 different libraries, which is why I have that ungodly amount of books in the back seat that I now have to return, because I had a great idea, what it felt like was a great idea for a video. It was gonna be something along the lines of series you should start this winter, just like a book recommendation of series that I've read. And for some reason I had the manic idea that in order to make this video I need to get all of these series from the library in their entirety. So I now have somewhere between 30 and 35 books in my backseat that I now have to return to all of these libraries, and I'm not even gonna make that video. I don't think I am. I've been putting a weird pressure on myself to make videos that I think will do well and talk about books that I think people want to hear about, but realistically, a lot of the most popular books that I've read are not anywhere close to my favorite books that I've read. I do love a good viral TikTok book, but I read a lot of books that aren't like that, and I have a fear that nobody will be interested in those sorts of books. But I want to try and get over that and just read the things that I want to read. I want this to be sustainable. I want it to be that I'm excited to talk about books in these videos and excited to share things, and if I only speak about the books that I feel kind of tepid about just because I think that they might do well, I'm going to make myself miserable. So today we're just vlogging because I was reading Funny Story by Emily Henry and I was filming that in hopes to make a reading vlog out of it, but I didn't really like it that much, and I was just doing the vlog for the purposes of trying to make a video that might do well, and I don't want to do that. So I thought, let's just bring it back to something I like doing, just recording where I'm going, doing the same things I do most weekends, but it feels like less pressure. So today I'm going to do some more driving. I'm going to go to the bank. I'd like to return all of those library books, which is going to be so embarrassing. I think I'm also just going to hang out in a library and do some bullet journaling and maybe just do some reading and annotating. I actually have a book that's not a library book, that's one of my own that I'm reading right now, and I'd like to maybe annotate that. I'm currently sitting in the Goodwill parking lot because it's 9:56. I got here at 9:40 and they open at 10. Setting the intention, manifesting, finding a pair of very warm sweatpants, very warm sweaters. Again, it's the freaking weekend. Wanted to give a little bit of an update of the things that I did today. I ended up doing some of the things that I intended, but not all of them. Starting off with the first thing you saw, that clip of me at Goodwill. I didn't get that sweater, although I'm considering it. I might go back for it. If you liked that sweater, let me know. It's cute, but I'm not sure if I really need it. I did get this though, which I didn't show in the clips. It's got like a square neck, and I thought the colors were really pretty. Long sleeve, it's very soft. I also saw my favorite professor that I have a giant crush on at the thrift store, so that was nice. I didn't say hi because I see him a lot of places. We go to a lot of the same stores. I saw him at Trader Joe's once, I saw him at the library once, and like we talked both of those times. I unknowingly was parking my car outside of his house because it's like close to my school. So I was parking in his front yard for like a year straight. Didn't know that until I saw him doing yard work outside one day. So yeah, love that for me, but I didn't have the guts to say hi, so just pretended I didn't see him and hoped that he was gonna come say hello. He did not. Usually he does though, so he probably just didn't see me. I also got this double-sided scotch tape runner. I do a lot of bullet journaling and I use glue sticks to stick things and pictures into the pages, and I don't currently have a glue stick, so I've been borrowing one from the library every time I go, but I thought this would be nice to have because I always see Katie is reading her YouTube channel. She uses these all the time and it looks so clean and convenient, and I don't have to get glue all over my fingers and have to go to the library for it, so thought I would try this. So I'm very excited. I also got a new tripod because I broke my tripod. I don't know if I love this one. You're on it right now. It'll work, but I might return it and get a bigger one because it only extends like this much. So I'd like one that's like double that, you know? I'll also give you a couple reading updates. I read one chapter of The Colossus of New York. I listened to that in the car this morning before I filmed that little Goodwill portion. I listened to that. I finished Funny Story by Emily Henry. I enjoyed this book. I liked it better than Book Lovers. In the beginning of it, I was really on the Emily Henry train and I was like, okay, this is my conversion, guys. I get it. I'm now an Emily Henry fan, but after going through more of it, I remembered why I was not an Emily Henry fan the first time around. My main gripe with this book is that the characterization that's done feels kind of too on the nose. It reads as though each character were their own like mini therapist and they're just too self-aware. So self-aware in a way that like took me out of the story, because usually when I'm reading a flawed character, you see their flaws in how they behave, and in Emily Henry books I find out about their flaws because at very strange times they'll just out of nowhere start being like, by the way, the reason that I have this insecurity or I tend to do this is because of this very specific childhood trauma. And then they go into like this long-winded explanation as to why they are that way. And it's like, yeah, sure, that does make sense logically as to like how that would mess somebody up. Most people aren't that self-aware, and if they are, it still does slip into conversation in a little bit of a more natural feeling way. Like for example, the two love interests were having like a steamy makeout session, and out of nowhere the male love interest is just like, stop, I can't do this because I don't trust my feelings because of this very particular flaw that my mother had in my childhood, which fucked me up in this way. And it's like, oh, okay, so we're just gonna bring it up right now in the middle of the makeout. Okay, got it. And it's just like the way that they describe it is just so therapy coded. It just feels like every single character in this book has been a year-long resident of therapy.
I just want to be super clear on this point because I don't know if it came across correctly, but I'm absolutely not bashing going to therapy at all. I think therapy's awesome. What I mean by therapy coded is just that the language that they use sounds like the language a therapist would use and is a little bit too self-aware for the average person. And none of these characters have specifically said that they were in therapy, so the fact that they are so aware of the roots of their problems and the progression that happened to make them into the person they are seems a little bit unrealistic to me, because most people don't know those things about themselves. And then the way that those things were shown to the reader was very info dumpy. It didn't feel natural. It was just like, okay, time to characterize somebody on having this specific trauma. That character is just gonna straight up say it in dialogue, which I thought was a little clunky and strange to read.
Which is fine, great, but it's just realistically like most people aren't, and most people, they don't know all roots to their trauma so well, and they don't just like bring it up out of nowhere, you know? So, and that happened several times. Like, it happened with, off the top of my head, at least 3 characters I can think of. It happened with, 4, let's say 4 characters, and they bring it up in like the strangest moments. That takes me out of it, and also I found some of the humor a little bit corny. I like cheesy humor. I'm not above a little bit of a cringy time, but some of it is just a little too much for me in her books. In the way of like, I don't even find it funny. It's just like, oh, okay, I see how that would be considered a pun, but it just wasn't really very funny. So yeah, I haven't been rating books with like a star system in a very long time, but if I were to rate this, it would probably be like a 3-star, maybe like a 2.5, because I definitely had fun, or else I wouldn't have finished it. But I think I might be done trying Emily Henry books. I don't know. Okay, and then last night I picked this up on a whim because look at the size of that book, and the cover is just so cool. It's a graphic novel called The Labyrinth by Simon Stålenhag. The art was just super cool. I found this at the library last night, and I really liked the opening quote, which is this, but I will read it to you. At last I stand near the mountains of the fates. All around like storm clouds crowd formless beings, creatures of the twilight, black-winged, phosphorus-eyed. Shall I stay? Shall I go? The road lies dark. If I stay peacefully here at the foot of the mountain, then no one will touch me. And that quote is by Karen Boy from Walpurgis Night, 1935. So that quote really got me, and then I looked through it, and the art is just so cool. Like, look at that. so cool. I ended up reading this whole thing last night. I really liked the art. The story was quite predictable. I really liked the world that this was set in. I was hoping that we would go more into it. So The Labyrinth is about a post-apocalyptic world where Earth's atmosphere has been filled with ammonia, so people have now moved into these subterranean homes to survive. A brother and sister that are residents of this underground world go to the surface regularly because they're researchers, and they take this little boy with them, and strange things kind of start to happen while they're above the surface. This was a little bit disappointing. I was really enjoying the beginning half because we were mostly just finding out about the state of the world and how the apocalypse came about, why people had to move underground, what the above ground world looks like right now. But then in the second half, we kind of got the drama between characters and found out the actual story that was going on, and it felt very disjointed. The whole first half was like so unrelated to the second half. Like, it was connected, but it just kind of felt like, why did we get so much buildup and understanding of the state of the world if it didn't really matter so much to what the true story was? And the true story was a little bit predictable. So I still had a good time reading this because I was very curious as to like what was going on in the first half, and then like by the midway point I was like, oh, okay, I see what happened. This only took me like an hour to read, probably less than that, so it was a fun way to just spend my Friday night. So if you like the art style, I would say it's worth it. It's so short and it is really just so gorgeous. Other reading updates: I read the first 2 chapters of After Dark earlier this week. I am enjoying it. I'm curious. I wasn't liking the writing style from the very beginning, but I kind of just pushed through it and I'm enjoying it a little bit more. Interested to see where we go with this. So far we've just met 3 characters. There's a girl sitting in a Denny's reading. This guy comes up to her and he's like, aren't you some really popular girl's little sister? Didn't we like go on a double date once? And he joins her and they're kind of just catching up. And then in the next chapter, we see the older sister asleep. So I'm interested. I'm very interested to see where this goes. News on Morning Star as well. I've read another, maybe like 3 chapters of this since the last time I brought this up in a video. I really need to finish this because if I keep putting it off, I'm going to forget the things that are going on. So I think I listened to like an hour of this while driving around in the car today. Going strong, hopefully finishing this by the end of November. And I've also read another chapter of Phantom, which was great. So I think that's everything that I have to update you about. Thanks for watching the video this long. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.